Welcome to the grade 8 math lesson. We're doing 4.7 surface area of a right cylinder. To do this, we're going to start by going back in time a little bit. We're going to take a look at when we were doing the area of a circle first. I have a circle. Here's my formula. My circle measures 6 centimeters across. Right there. This is the diameter. But I don't need the diameter. I need the radius. The radius is 3 centimeters. Area equals pi times the radius squared. Well, let's reduce that down. We know from order of operations, the first thing we do, take care of those exponents. So I've got 3.14 times 9. So my estimate of what this should be is around 27, because I know 3 times 9 is 27. Once I put that in, I'm going to grab my calculator. I'm going to say 3.14. Now I could use my pi button. Simplicity's sake, we're just going to go 3.14 times 9 is 28.26 centimeters squared. Now I compare to my estimate. Is it close to my estimate? Is it reasonably close? My estimate was 27, I got 28.26, reasonably close. If I got 282.6, then I would know we've got a bit of a disconnect. So now we figured out the area of the top of my cylinder. Now let's draw an array of this cylinder. An array of the cylinder, we know we've got the circle on top. We know that we've got a rectangle, and we know we've got a cylinder on the bottom. Just going to make sure it's in the shot here. Yeah, you can see it. So here we have an array of our cylinder. There's the top, the bottom, and then we have the paper that we had rolled around it initially. Now, without having to actually use a piece of paper and go all the way around, we could do it without. If I roll this circle around, it rolls all the way, it will do one full revolution. What that means is that the distance around the cup is the circle on the top of the cup. If I wrap this around my cup, where it meets is the size of the circumference of the circle. So I can find the circumference of the circle. Well, let's review circumference of the circle as well. Circumference equals pi times diameter. Well, we know pi, and we know the diameter. So let's try this out. First, let's start measuring the cup. Our cup is measuring 8 centimeters across. So now that I have 8 centimeters, I can now find the area of the top of my cylinder, and I can also find the circumference. So let's find the area first. Area equals pi times r, which is 4 centimeters, half of the diameter, squared. Area equals pi times 16. My estimate is about 48, because I know that 3 times 16 is 48. Let's see what I get when I put it in. 3.14 times 16 equals 50.24 centimeters squared, because we are talking area. So I know that this area is 50.24 centimeters squared. But I also need to know the circumference. Well, the circumference is pi times diameter. Pi times diameter, the diameter in this case was 8. My estimate should be around 24. Putting it in, 3.14 times 8 is 25.12 centimeters. We use centimeters, not centimeters squared, because this is a linear measurement, not an area, measuring the distance around. I now know what this measurement is. Because if you recall, when I wrapped the paper around here, one revolution of this circle was the length of the rectangle that went around it. So now that I know the circumference of this circle, I know this measurement. All we need now is this measurement, and we can finish together. So if I hold this up, we'll see what it measures. Looks like 20 centimeters tall. Of course, if I wrap the paper around, it would be the same height as the top of the cylinder. I'll move this because I think it's getting in our way. 20 centimeters tall. I know the area of this. Of course, that means I know the area of the bottom. But I don't know the area of this rectangle. And I need to know this, this, and this area to proceed. But I know the area of a rectangle is length times width. The length is 25.12 times the width is 20. That gives me, I think, it's 502.4. Let's see if that's correct, because I did that in my head. It is. If I do a rough estimate, I know that 25 times 20 is 500, so that sounds reasonable. Of course, that is centimeters squared. So now I have to just add these together. My answer is 602.88 centimeters squared. So let's review. Where did we go with this? We wanted to find the surface area, not the volume, but the surface area. Or if I were to paint this, how many centimeters of paint would it take? We found the area of the top. We did that by measuring the diameter, getting the radius, and then we plugged it into our formula. Area equals pi times radius squared. Pi, the squared radius, and we got this. 50.24 centimeters is the surface area. We then found the circumference of this because we wanted to find out how long a rectangle that wraps around it would be. So we figured out the circumference. Circumference equals pi times diameter. The diameter was 8, so pi times 8. That gave us the length of our rectangle in our net. Once we had this, the only thing missing was the height. The height was easy. We measured the height of the cup. Area of a rectangle, length times width. Length times width. This is the area of the rectangle. We already knew the area of this from before, which of course is the same area on the bottom. We added the top, the bottom, and the size of a rectangle to wrap around it, and we had 602.88. I hope this helps in your lesson. I'll pause it and see if we need to go over an example yet. If you have any questions, please come to me. My break times are open to you. This is always posted online, and I enjoy looking forward to these questions and getting them mastered in the next week.